I want to let you know that everything will unfold. Everything will unfold. And I want to give you a quick reminder right now to check your self-talk, check your inner dialogue you have with yourself right at this moment. Where are you? What's your frequency level right now? Are you happy with how your life is going? Are you going through something? What's going on in your life? Are you grateful for something? Can you find something to be grateful for? Where is your self-talk right now? Are you blaming yourself? Are you criticizing yourself? Are you judging yourself? Are you angry towards you? Where is your self-talk right now? Even I can hear it. It's so loud, right? It's so loud. So I want to give you a message that will help you with that a little bit, because self-talk is everything. The way we talk to ourselves is who we become, right? So the truth is that our words actually reflect our beliefs, and our beliefs are made out of thoughts we're thinking over and over again. And our thoughts are actually information that are stuck in our energy field. And that's what we are hearing. So when we are having these self-talks, these are actually these thoughts, circulating in our field and entertaining us. And as long as we are responding to them, reacting to them, we are their prey. We are actually their, victim. So in order to free ourselves from this kind of, self-talk that is destructive for us, we need to catch ourselves here and there, like having these reminders and just do a self-check. How am I feeling? What am I thinking about? How am I looking this situation right now? How am I looking at it? Am I looking at it from a standpoint of someone who's here to create wonderful things and to experience breakthroughs and to experience success and abundance and health and love and, all of these beautiful things? Or do I want to pull myself down? Or do I want to, put even more weights onto my shoulders and pretend that I am really a bad person? So the thing is, what ancient knew, ancient people, our ancient ancestors, what they knew about this is that you need to empty your jar. You need to empty your jar. And it means that you need to go through the process of mental cleansing, mental purification every single day, especially if you want to manifest for yourself a beautiful life. That's why I'm frequently reminding you of the mental health and meditation. So there's many different types of meditation, but the one that is very helpful for taking care of your mental garbage, right? So you can take care of the mental garden, pull out the weeds, is that you actually visualize a garden. And you can visualize how you're pulling out the weeds that don't belong there. You can then visualize how the wind blows everything unnecessary. And what stays are beautiful flowers, and then butterflies come, and birds come, and maybe certain other animals come, and suddenly it becomes a Garden of Eden. If you're good with visualization, if not, well, you can just imagine sitting beside a river, and that river is just, washing away all unnecessary thoughts. If you do this daily, you will start to see that you're feeling more clear, you're feeling more grounded, you're feeling more relaxed. And through relaxation, something wonderful happens, right? In relaxation, you enter the flow state. So what is the flow state? Well, the flow state is a state of consciousness where we forget about space and time. So when we forget about space and time, we kind of tap into something beautiful because we suddenly become creative. And I actually want to share a story with you, something that happened to me today. So currently I'm working on a commission painting, and I felt quite uninspired with it. I had, I'm not working often on commission paintings. I usually decline them. But if I really resonate with an idea, I get onto a call with that person and we discuss it. So I said yes to one very incredible idea and I've started working on it. But today, as I've started painting, I felt quite uninspired. I was not in the flow. So I tried to force myself firstly into painting and I said, no, I don't want to do it like that. So I went outside under the sun, right, a bit into the nature. And suddenly I've noticed, well, that's what I needed. And suddenly, I've started cruising around a little bit with my bike, just to refresh myself. And suddenly I got myself into the flow state, and suddenly a new vision hit me. Like, I should start with this painting a bit differently than I tried to force myself into it, right? So that's how the universe communicates with us. Sometimes we try to force ourselves into doing something because our mind was not clear. And then we get into the flow state. We do something that kind of helps us to reconnect with ourselves. Nature is such a great healer, because every time I get myself under the sun, if I go cruising a little bit with my bike, I love biking, I love road cycling, mountain biking. Sometimes I go for a run. I do these things to get myself into the flow state. And when I do that, well, something shifts in my mind. Suddenly, I don't care about anything anymore. Like, I become free. I become like a kid again. And then I get these incredible ideas and I came back to studio and I've started working on it. And then, I stayed in the flow and I said, I want to, update my studio a little bit, because since we've moved to this place, I said I still need to figure out a little bit how to place everything and all of that. And today I got all these ideas, and let me know how does it look. Let me know, because I kind of like it. So this is the power of getting yourself into the flow state and cleansing your mind. Sometimes when I go on my bike, I feel like I would leave all these thoughts behind and I get again into the present moment. That's why I always remind you to have certain activities that help you to get into a playful state. Because there's a magic in playfulness, right? You can't be hateful and playful. You can't be hateful and playful. You can only be playful and then hate someone because, you lost in the game. But it's unnecessary. The point is that you find activities that put you into a pleasant state of being, because when you feel good, when you say, I'm feeling good right now, your mind gets back in center, right? So what is the mind? Well, mind is truly like a computer of this reality. When it gets too overwhelmed, it slows down. It becomes slower, right? If your computer becomes overwhelmed with too much stuff because you're not taking care of it, not cleansing the old, data and all of that, it slows down. And same is with your mind. It slows down and then you experience this brain fog because you need to rest. You need to take a break, do some nap or, some winding down. So you recognize how much is actually going on in the background of your mind. So many times people are ignoring that and then they start to feel bad because their mind is reminding them something. Actually, what's happening in your mind is experienced in the body. So if you study the Bible, you will notice that the Son they are talking about, the Son of God, is a physical body, right? And the sound of God is mind. And pure mind is the Garden of Eden. If you really study these texts, you will notice that your physical body is actually a son of creation. And whatever happens in the mind, whatever happens in the body, in the garden, will be experienced in the body. So when you're feeling overwhelmed because of emotions, you will notice that your mind is actually overwhelmed. You've been tapping, because of too much of chaos in the mind, you've been getting yourself into lower frequencies. And then these lower frequencies kind of get you, right? And you get stuck in certain cycles where same things start happening over and over again, and you don't know how to break a cycle. Like sometimes people say bad things are constantly happening to me, not noticing that when was the last time you've actually resetted your mind, become more objective about everything that's going on in your life, and notice that somewhere you could take a different direction, right? And noticing that certain people are maybe not good for you anymore, or you've been, not truly truthful towards someone, and you've started pretending, and pretending always exhausts you, right? So you've noticed that you've been doing these things because your mind was not clear. You've forgotten what are your values. You've forgotten who you are. You've forgotten what you're standing for, right? What you've come here to do. And that's why it's important to do these mental checks to recognize how we're talking to ourselves, what's going on inside here, right? To notice, do I need to do some mental cleansing right now? Do you feel overwhelmed often? Do you feel exhausted often? Do you feel like your mind is jumping all over the place frequently? Well, it's a sign to do some self-checks, right? Check yourself. You know that song, right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? You know this. So check yourself, my friend. I wanted to remind you to check yourself. I'm an artist, and I know how it is when we experience this kind of artist's blocks. If we go a little bit deeper, we recognize there is no such a thing as an artist block, but actually an overwhelmed mind and then addiction to attachment. So if we learn to cleanse our minds more frequently, we recognize that there is no need to be attached to anything, because life is just flowing. Life is just flowing, right? So we don't need to be attached to anything, like when it will happen, why it's not happening, how can I control everything so my wanting outcome will come true. You need to recognize that you are the creator of this creation. You are the creator in this creation. You're the one that's actually creating effects in reality. And you can't do that if your mind is overwhelmed. You need to get yourself in check, right? And then you will start to notice that actually, if you start a day with a pure mind, then you can do everything more intentionally. And isn't an intention an initiation of what you want to see? Intention inspires action, and action is driven by intention. So when you cleanse your mind, well, you're not jumping around unconsciously anymore. Now you've become a conscious human being, and I'm welcoming you to the club. And when you become more conscious in your life, you recognize, well, I can do everything more intentionally, like I did with this studio today. It just looks so much better and refreshed, and I feel better because it feels like I've changed something within me as I was changing something outside of me. As within, so without, right? If we go back into Hermetic principles. So we need to recognize that sometimes, if you're constantly competing with which grass is greener, you're forgetting that your mind is as poisoned as your neighbor's mind. So you need to get back to your mind, and you will notice that each grass is green as much as you take care of it, right? As much as you nurture it. So then you start taking care of your inner world more frequently, and you recognize that actually everything starts reflecting it. So I've noticed that in my life, when I've started taking more care of myself, I've become kinder to myself, I've become more loving to myself. I've actually started pulling out of my life things that are unhealthy for me. Like I've quitted a job back in the past that was not healthy for me. I've stopped hanging with certain people that were not healthy for me. I've ditched certain limiting beliefs that were limiting me, that were saying to me, I can't do this. I'm not capable of this. I'm not smart enough. All of that, I've ditched them. Because I've started reminding myself I am a creator. If I can create art and beautiful things, I can create anything. Because, well, art is such an interesting experience because you see a blank canvas and you just come up with something. Something finds you, like idea finds you, and then eventually you put it onto a canvas. You need to learn a skill, right, to do it, and then you need to be consistent. And you need to go through the moments of laziness sometimes, and you know, sometimes you find yourself procrastinating, and sometimes it's a boring process, but you need to persevere and push through. And then suddenly, you know, you see this kind of beautiful creations. That's why art is an example for everything. Like if you want to make more money in your life, ask yourself what money truly is. Like what money adds up into your life and what it brings to you. It brings to you what you need, right? So if you can bring more people what they need, you will make more money, right? So how can you fulfill the needs of others through something you love to do? Well, it will make you rich, right? And everything works like that. So you start connecting the dots when your mind is clear. When you start talking to yourself like you would talk to a friend you truly love, like become loving to yourself. That's what self-love is. So you develop a dialogue with yourself that is supportive, that is helpful, that is nurturing. And you will notice that it actually starts lifting you up on a frequency level. You will notice that you will start to feel lighter. When you say, oh, I suck at this, you say, no, I'm just getting better. I'm just getting better. And you will say, oh, nothing works out here. And you will say, no, I just haven't figured it out. But keep visualizing the outcome, because eventually you will get yourself there. If you stop before you see it, you will never know that it was possible. But if you don't stop, somehow, some way it will come true. So I just wanted to remind you today, my friend, check yourself. Check yourself, because there's something that's going on inside here, right? Something is going on right now, because I can hear it. And you don't need to be a victim of it. You don't even need to try to ignore it, because it will not run away. Actually, in psychology, they use a technique that they name this inner voice. They give a name, like you can give an annoying name to this part of you, especially the part of you that's constantly criticizing you. You can also create a kind of picture, a mental picture of, I don't know, a weird person that's, you know, talking to you inside of your mind. In Buddhist practices, they've often used this technique, the way that they've visualized someone talking to them inside of them. And usually they've made it like an annoying picture, so they could easily catch this voice anytime they start hearing it. So they can distance it from themselves as an awareness, because so many people are actually identified with their inner voice. But once you recognize that you are just hearing this voice, but you are not this voice, you recognize that you are so much more powerful than what this voice was saying to you. This voice is actually a product of collective unconsciousness, and you've been poisoned by it because you've been believing it. You've been entertained by it, and you've been reacting to it. And as long as you are truly reacting to it, you are, like I said at the beginning, it's prey. It got you, and now it's feeding off you. So when you start observing it, you put a light onto it, and suddenly, well, it's been exposed, right? So you've kind of exposed that part of you that doesn't belong into your future, because you can't get there with this kind of mental attitude. Suddenly you realize, well, if you're this awareness with what you want to feed your garden, what you want to plant into your garden, and maybe you start reading books, maybe you start educating yourself, maybe you start meeting people who are already where you want to be, maybe you start doing more things that you actually want to do, things that will make you more skillful, more valuable, more important, and also more powerful. And suddenly you will notice when you devote yourself to something that's important to you, you start letting go of distractions and things that were destructive to you. And you find the most powerful healing tool to addiction, which is replacement, right? You replace what is bad with what is good until good things start growing inside of you and make you a good person. And that's how simple it is. But it's a gradual process, so that's why you need to develop self-kindness, you need to develop self-love, and you need to find moments in a day when you just cleanse your mind and find this inner peace from which you give birth to creativity. When you give birth to creativity, well, then you start creating magic in your life. And I'm looking forward for what you're about to create, my friend. I hope you found great value in today's message. No art for today, but, well, the whole message was an artwork. So, my friends, have a beautiful day. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and power. Thanks to everyone for supporting my art in our store, AttractPassion.com, and it's a store, AttractPassion. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. Go and check it out, and till next time, one love.